Welcome back to the show. I want to thank all my new subscribers. I'm 50 subscribers away from 5,000. I appreciate all of the support and the comments that you guys are making. I make adjustments so that I deliver you the content that you want to see. I try to read all of my comments. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and do it. Let's get on with the show. And today's top story is Pierre Poilievre's rally yesterday. We're going to cover it. It was record-smashing attendance. And then I'm going to cover all of the record-smashing attendances for his rallies across the country since he started his campaign. And today's election announcements between Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre. And Mark Carney is promising to inject hundreds of millions of dollars into CBC, securing that propaganda machine. There's big news for people that are renewing their mortgages. They might be quite happy today as mortgage rates are falling across the country. And let's take a look at gas prices across the country. There is such a variance, it's wild. Let's get into it. Let's go. Let's start off with some photos from the rally last night in Oshawa. This was held in an airplane hangar, and it was a record-smashing 6,500 people attended this rally. This was the biggest conservative rally in Canadian history for an election campaign. I'm going to go over the numbers, but let's take a look at the photos. This one's pretty good, but check out this one. This is my absolute favorite. I love that they were able to bring planes in. It just looked so good. And this is the size of the crowd with the planes. This is next level. And you know what I love about these rallies? Is when all of the attendees sing the Canadian national anthem in unity. Absolutely amazing. That's what I want to see across Canada. It's called unity, and this leads me to the numbers. This thing is becoming too big to rig. Look at the amount of people, a view from the back. So now let's talk numbers. Stephen Harper in 2011 federal election, nationwide, the largest crowd size he was able to garner was below 5,000, and the average attendees during his election campaign was between 500 and 2,000 attendees. And now that brings us to today. These rallies are absolutely smashing records. If we take a look at the first rally, which was held in Surrey, BC on March 27th, there was an estimated 5,500 to 6,000 people, and this was held on a weekday in Port Kells, a location that is not serviced by SkyTrain. People had to ride the bus or drive to this location. It was raining, and it was absolutely massive. The next one was held in Fredericton on March 31st, and there was an estimated crowd of 3,000, and this was also on a weekday. And in PEI on April 1st, they maxed the place out at 1,700 people, and they had to turn people away, followed by Kingston, Ontario on April 2nd, which is a Liberal stronghold. They've held this riding for 30 years, and they had 4,200 people in attendance. And Oshawa last night, it was ginormous. The biggest rally yet in an airport hangar with 6,500 people. Like I said, smashing records. And I just showed you how patriotic all of the people in attendance were. We have a massive rally tomorrow in Penticton, and I can't wait to report on it. It is going to be ginormous because the size of this event is the largest industrial warehouse in Penticton, and I'm sure it's going to garner crowds from all over the Okanagan. It's going to be massive. This is what a movement for change looks like in Canada. And we're going to start off with Mark Carney lying about something that is easily searchable on Google. Let's go.
The financial crisis, 2008-9, when I was governor, we avoided a recession. We're now in recession with GDP projected to fall by 1.2% this year.
Unbelievable. And Mark Carney made an announcement today that he's going to provide CBC Radio Canada $150 million. And he's also said that he's going to guarantee this type of money indefinitely, regardless of what government is in place, because he says it protects democracy from misinformation and disinformation, making CBC permanent in Canada. Oh, so perfect. So that we have CBC, the liberal propaganda train, permanently installed inside our country. Oh, geez, what could go wrong? Let's take a look at his announcement. By the way, I sped this thing up so you don't have to torture yourself to watch the whole thing, but let's go.
Across the country, Canadians rely on CBC Radio Canada. From Schitt's Creek to Hockey Night in Canada and Mike Myers, these are products of Canada. They're the result of strong, representative public broadcasting. CBC Radio Canada is especially vital for Canadians in rural and remote areas where it's often their only source of local information. Canadians rely on it to keep up with what's happening, and when disasters happen, such as forest fires, floods, or storms that threaten their communities, public broadcasting is crucial as a vital source of information to help people to stay safe. We also count on public broadcasting to discover up-and-coming Canadian musicians, creators, storytellers, whose work might otherwise get buried by the avalanche of American content on social media. Canada's identity and institutions are under attack by foreign interference, and instead of defending them, Pierre Poilievre is following President Trump's lead and taking aim at our institutions like CBC Radio Canada. Pierre Poilievre pretends you can keep one, but not the other. But he's not Solomon. You can't split this baby. His attack on CBC is an attack directly on Radio Canada, and it is an attack on our Canadian identity. If elected, my government will take action to enshrine and protect and strengthen CBC Radio Canada for generations to come. We will modernize the mandate of our public broadcaster. We will give it the resources it needs to fulfill its renewed mission and ensure that its future is guided by all Canadians and not subject to the whims of a small group of people led by ideology. When it comes to this most important of Canadian institutions, all Canadians should have their say, not just a small group. We will not only increase CBC Radio Canada's funding by $150 million, but we will also make this funding statutory, meaning that Parliament as a whole will need to approve any future changes to its funding, not just the Cabinet. By strengthening our public broadcaster, we're protecting our identity and our culture and helping it to shine around the world. We're making Canada strong. Our plan will safeguard a reliable Canadian public square in a sea of misinformation and disinformation, so we can stay informed and tell our own stories in our own languages. Our plan will not only strengthen CBC Radio Canada, it will strengthen our communities that rely on it. It will make Canada strong.
There you go, Canada. This is not the announcement I was looking for. If you vote for Mark Carney, it's a guarantee that CBC is going to be heavily funded. They're already getting $2 billion in subsidies from our government to be a media talking point for our government. I'd like to see CBC get zero, and I mean absolutely $0 from our government. If they're providing value and great reports, they could survive on their own. They don't need the government to subsidize them and fund them. Then we have a reporter ask Mark Carney if he's going to be purchasing Canadian strawberries over American because he's telling Canadians to do that. And you are not going to believe his response. Let's take a look.
Est-ce que vous en achetez encore des produits américains? Est-ce que vous achetez des fraises des États-Unis? Vous envoyez fraises des États-Unis?
OK. Je dois vous donner une réponse bizarre, dans un sens bizarre, parce que étant Premier ministre, je n'achète plus
des fraises et tout cela. C'est quelqu'un Est-ce
que
Unbelievable.
vous en achetez encore des produits américains? Est-ce que vous achetez
So what he just said is, as prime minister, I don't have to go to the grocery store. So no, I'm not buying Canadian or American. He's not buying anything. Everything is served to him on a silver platter. Yet he's telling you that you should pay triple the price for the Canadian strawberries as opposed to American. Holy moly. And we're going back to Mark Carney. Now, this is absolutely hilarious. Mark Carney just promised to keep CBC and Radio Canada fully funded, the state-run propaganda machine. And guess how he announced this state-run propaganda machine? With a state-run propaganda machine. You can't make any of this stuff up. I'm sure all of those people probably work for Radio Canada, and he said, if you want to keep your job, you better hold this sign for my propaganda video. How hilarious. Now to Pierre Poilievre. He just exposed Mark Carney's plan to explode our national deficit. No spending cuts, just billions upon billions of more government waste. A fourth liberal term means double the housing costs, double food prices, longer food bank lineups, and obviously the end of the Canadian dream.
Well, it won't. My approach won't have an impact on Radio Canada, but you know, I find it interesting that Mr. Carney is now proposing hundreds of millions of billions of dollars in additional spending. Let's be clear on this. Mr. Carney has not proposed a single penny in cost reductions in this government. He is now proposing to stack billions more costs on top of an already morbidly obese government. He was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau while they doubled the debt, doubled housing costs, and delivered the worst inflation in 40 years. And now he says that if he's elected to a fourth Liberal term, he will make government and therefore the cost of living even more expensive. We need a change, folks. We can't go on spending money we don't have on things we don't need, or our people are going to end up with even more brutal inflation. I will be cutting waste, bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and other unnecessary expenses to reduce taxes, debt, and inflation. And that's the choice in this election. Do you want a fourth Liberal term of costs and crime up and the economy down under America's thumb, or do you want a new Conservative government that will bring down the cost of living for a change?
Yeah, he says it straight up. I mean, the track record speaks for itself. The Liberal government has only done one thing, and it's spend, spend, spend. Cut some of this spending. Everything is going to continue to double in price. This election is crucial. Do we want to be able to afford to live in Canada, or do we want to live in a tent? And this story is breaking. If you're renewing your mortgage in Canada, this is great news. The 5-year GOC, which is what fixed term mortgages are priced on, it just hit a 3-year low. This is great news. And the banks usually take about 2 weeks in order to pass on those savings to you. But if you have a mortgage that's upcoming, take a look at this trend. As you can see, since July of 2023, the 5-year GOC went from almost 4.5, and it's all the way down to 2.424. And based on this trend, we might be able to see a 2% 5-year GOC by fall. I'm going to make sure to update everybody on where mortgage rates are going so that you are ahead of the curve and make the right decision for your mortgage renewal. And the last story today is gas prices across the country vary wildly. For example, in British Columbia, Lower Mainland, the price of gas is $1.85. It's basically at the same price as it was before they removed the carbon tax. And in some places in Ontario, it's $1.10. So I'm really starting to wonder, because if the Liberals win the East Coast, they win the election. Is BC subsidizing the East Coast gasoline? I don't know. It's probably not happening like that. But you know what? These prices, it makes 0 sense. So let's check out some of these prices in the Lower Mainland. We have $1.84, $1.84, $1.84, $1.87, $1.87. Oh, there's a cheaper one, $1.73. But these cheaper ones, sometimes they don't update the prices. It looks like there's a price war somewhere in southern Burnaby. But on average, the price is between $1.74 and $1.87. Let's take a look at the city of Abbotsford. So Abbotsford doesn't have a transit tax, so usually the price is significantly lower. We have the cheapest price in Abbotsford at $1.53, and the highest price is $1.75. So the prices are all over the map. Here are the prices in the city of Calgary. I see some $1.26.9, $1.38, $39, $1.40. It looks like the price range is between $1.29 to $1.39. City of Red Deer, you could get gasoline as low as $1.21. And in the city of Edmonton, I see $1.19 as the cheapest gasoline price, all the way up to $1.39.9. So there, you want to check out Gas Buddy and make sure that you're paying the lowest possible price. Actually, I see one at $1.18.9 in Edmonton. Move to Saskatchewan. The prices in Saskatchewan, this is Saskatoon. It looks like the prices are pretty steady across the board, 131s and 132s. The city of Regina, I see a 126.9, but I also see a 141.9. So you are going to want to check and make sure you're getting the best gas price in Regina. You live in Manitoba, Winnipeg. I'm seeing prices of 116.9. Man, you're getting deals over there. There's also gas stations that are 121, 114. Man, you're getting a good deal for your gasoline in Winnipeg. Let's check out the city of Ottawa. I see prices as low as 124.9 and 142.9. City of Toronto, I see prices of 124.9 and all the way up to 133.9. But most of them are in the 120 range. You're doing pretty good, Toronto. And let's finish off with St. John's, Newfoundland. Prices in St. John's are 151.7, which is significantly lower than BC. Oh man, it must be nice living on the eastern half of Canada. All right, we're gonna end this episode with boomers for Pierre. I absolutely love this woman and I love all the boomers. Let's get all the boomers to get out and vote for Pierre Poilievre to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. I'm going to see you on the next report.